First Fruits of Zion presents God-Fearers, Gentiles and the God of Israel. Written by Toby Janicki and read by the author.
Introduction. Thus says the Lord, stand by the roads and look, and ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. I'm a Gentile, but my religion is Messianic Judaism. This certainly can be confusing to some people, but I am not alone in this position. Today, scores of Gentile believers in Messiah are turning to practice Messianic Judaism as an authentic expression of faith from the time of the apostles. It has become an important Reformation movement within the body of Messiah, a Jewish expression of Christianity along the lines of what the first Christians and disciples of Yeshua practiced 19 centuries ago. Modern-day Messianic Judaism began to thrive during the turbulent social changes of the 1960s and 1970s. Young Jewish Christians wanted to practice discipleship to Yeshua while still maintaining their Jewish identity. It turned into a revolutionary movement that challenged many facets of institutional Christianity. For example, Messianic Judaism reopened the question of the law and decided that, contrary to conventional theological assumptions, neither Yeshua nor his apostles intended believers to renounce the Torah of Moses. The Messianic Jewish movement does not merely look back to the past, it is prophetic in scope, looking towards the coming Messianic kingdom where Messiah will govern all of Israel according to the Torah in a restored Jerusalem. Messianic Judaism generated a lot of excitement, not just among Jewish believers, but Gentile Christians as well. If it offered a more authentic historical practice of faith in Messiah, why wouldn't non-Jewish believers also want to be a part of such a revolution? Thus, many Gentile believers, myself included, were drawn to Messianic synagogues. But such a move raised difficult questions and controversial issues. Many Messianic Jewish leaders taught Gentile Christians that they had no place practicing the Torah's commandments and that things like the Sabbath and the dietary laws were only for the Jewish people. Instead, they encouraged non-Jewish believers to adhere to the 7 universal Noahide laws of Judaism and remain in their churches. To me, this made little sense. The Noahide laws were incumbent upon non-Jews who had not yet experienced the revelation of Messiah and had no relationship to Israel. According to Paul, Gentiles in Yeshua are not sons of Noah, but sons of Abraham. Still others taught that Gentiles who had found Messiah were now one with the Jewish people, and were either physically Israel or descended from the 10 lost tribes. Adherents to these theologies insisted that Gentiles had the same relationship and obligation to the Torah that Jews did. All of this amounted to identity confusion and seemed dangerously similar to replacement theology. If Jews and Gentile believers are exactly the same, then Jewish identity for believers simply ceases to exist. For my own part, I began to look for answers in the apostolic writings. Who are the Gentile believers of the book of Acts and the earliest believing communities? What was their relationship to the Jewish believers and the larger Jewish community? How did they relate to the Torah? What I discovered is that the position of Gentile believers in the apostolic community was modeled after an already existing class of non-Jews who practiced Judaism. They were called the God-Fearers. These God-fearers had a place in the synagogue and were a part of the Jewish community, not as Jews, but as Gentiles among the Jewish people. If Messianic Gentiles today can recover this first-century God-fearer model, we can recover the proper biblical expression of Messianic faith as practiced by the first disciples of Yeshua. The God-fearer model resolves the difficult questions and controversial issues raised by the presence of Gentiles practicing Messianic Judaism.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?